The United Nations has just been officially declared a relic of the past in the most contested territory on Earth. We are standing in mid-February 2026, and the world is reeling from a massive geopolitical earthquake. President Trump has just signed the Gaza Sovereignty and Reconstruction Act, a move that effectively fires the UN from its decades-long role and replaces it with a cold, hard $5 billion private-led takeover. This isn't just a change in aid, it is the total privatization of a war zone. While global diplomats are screaming in the hallways of The Hague, Trump is moving the first billion into private security contracts and massive industrial blueprints. This is a $5 billion gamble that is redrawing the borders of the Middle East in real time, and if you aren't paying attention to the fine print, you're missing the birth of a new world order where the UN is replaced by the Board of Peace. Hello friends, welcome to Geo Unseen YouTube channel. Today we break down Trump's $5 billion plan for Gaza's future and how it replaces the UN. As of the 16th of February 2026, the blueprints for New Gaza have been leaked, and they look more like a high-tech corporate hub than a refugee camp. The Trump administration has officially cut all funding to UNRWA and redirected it into a private consortium managed by American and Gulf-based investment firms under the authority of the newly formed Board of Peace. This $5 billion plan focuses on a massive deep-sea port and a 20-mile industrial corridor that connects Gaza directly to global shipping lanes. But here is the catch that the mainstream media is ignoring. This isn't free money. The plan, often called the Gaza Riviera Project, requires Gaza to surrender its administrative control to a board of directors chosen by the US and its regional partners, including Jared Kushner and Tony Blair. It is a business-first approach to peace where sovereignty is traded for skyscrapers and stability. The data from early 2026 shows that over 40 American construction giants have already bid on the first phase of the Gaza waterfront project. This is a total departure from the last 70 years of international law. By bypassing the UN, Trump has removed the red tape of human rights oversight and replaced it with corporate efficiency. The tension is reaching a breaking point as the European Union threatens sanctions over this move, but the White House remains unmoved, claiming that the UN's failure in Gaza is now officially over. The Trump peace plan, a 0-point roadmap, has already moved into phase 2 as of the 14th of January 2026, focusing on demilitarization and technocratic governance. Trump's Sunday announcement on Truth Social confirmed that Indonesia has already pledged 8,000 troops to the new International Stabilization Force, which will replace UN peacekeepers. This $5 billion injection is designed to build a Silicon Valley on the Mediterranean. But the human cost of this corporate takeover is the question that is haunting every world capital right now. The leaked 8-page document, known as the Great Trust, suggests that the Board of Peace will have all transitional legislative and executive authority over Gaza until at least December 2027. This means the board can rewrite Gaza's laws, manage its land trust, and even issue digital tokens on a blockchain to fund infrastructure. While the UN General Assembly is calling for an emergency session, Trump is already preparing for the first official Board of Peace meeting in Washington on February 19. The UN is out, the corporations are in, and the 2026 landscape for Gaza will never be the same again. Moving into the heart of this unprecedented 2026 takeover, we have to look at the Gaza Board of Peace and the financial machinery that is making the UN irrelevant. On the 16th of February 2026, a leaked 8-page internal memo from the White House, known as the Gaza Prosperity Directive, revealed exactly how this $5 billion plan works. Unlike the UN, which relies on voluntary donations and endless bureaucracy, Trump's plan is structured as a private equity fund called the Gaza Development Trust. This trust is currently being managed by a consortium of Wall Street heavyweights and sovereign wealth funds from the Middle East. They aren't looking to give away blankets and food. They are looking to build a $5 billion Mediterranean gateway, by cutting off the $1.2 billion that the US used to give to UNRWA. Trump has effectively defunded the UN's influence in the region and shifted that power to a board of directors that answers only to Washington and its investors. The scale of this shift is massive. As of mid-February 2026, the UN Secretary General has reportedly been barred from entering the new special security zones being set up by American contracted private security firms. The Trump administration is replacing the blue helmets with a high-tech security grid that uses AI surveillance and biometric tracking to manage the movement of people in Gaza. This isn't just about security. It's about creating a frictionless economic zone where international law is replaced by corporate policy. Trump's logic is that the UN failed for 75 years because they treated Gaza as a humanitarian crisis, whereas he is treating it as a distressed asset. He literally told a group of investors in Dubai last month that Gaza has the best waterfront property in the world and we are going to make it the most profitable. But here is where it gets dangerous. This $5 billion plan requires the total clearing of what Trump calls unproductive zones. As we speak, satellite imagery from the 14th of February 2026 shows massive land grading operations starting near the northern border. This isn't for houses. It's for a new 100-acre industrial park that will be exempt from Palestinian Authority taxes. The UN has called this an illegal annexation of administrative rights, but in the 2026 landscape, their words carry no weight. Trump has already secured backing from at least 4 major regional powers who are tired of the UN's endless cycles of conflict. They are betting that $5 billion of American-led capitalism can do what 70 years of international diplomacy couldn't. This is a total reset of the Middle Eastern order, where the dollar is the new peace treaty and the UN is just a memory in the sand. Quick question for the crew. Do you think a corporate-led peace plan with $5 billion in funding is more likely to work than the UN's humanitarian approach, or is this just a new form of colonialism? Drop a comment below because the business of peace is the biggest story of 2026 and we need to know where you stand. The legal battle is just as intense. On the 15th of February 2026, the International Court of Justice received an emergency petition to halt the Gaza Development Trust operations. But the Trump administration's response was swift and brutal. They officially revoked the visas of the ICJ judges involved. This is America First on steroids. Trump is essentially telling the world that if you get in the way of this $5 billion reconstruction, you are an enemy of progress. This has created a massive rift in the Western alliance, with several European nations frozen in indecision. Should they support the UN and risk the wrath of a resurgent Trump, or should they buy into the Gaza Trust and get a piece of the $5 billion pie? In the high-stakes world of 2026, most are choosing the money. The UN is being dismantled brick by brick, not by war, but by a checkbook. On the 16th of February 2026, the Trump administration took its most aggressive step yet, announcing the creation of the Gaza Digital Pound, a private blockchain-based currency that will replace all other forms of tender within the new $5 billion development zones. This move officially severs Gaza from the Palestinian Authority's financial system and the UN's humanitarian economy. By mid-February, over 60% of the world's major tech firms have already signed preliminary agreements to set up offshore R&D centers in these zones. Trump isn't just rebuilding a city, he is building a tax haven under the guise of a peace plan. The fallout at the United Nations is absolute chaos. In a historic and bitter session on February 15, the US ambassador to the UN stated that the era of the open checkbook for failed agencies is over. This was the final nail in the coffin for UNRWA. The final takeaway for the Geo Unseen crew is this: we are witnessing the end of the post-World War II international order. The replacement of the UN with a $5 billion corporate board is the ultimate proof that in 2026, sovereignty is for sale. Trump has proven that if you have enough capital and enough leverage, you don't need the world's permission to rewrite the map. Whether this business of peace actually brings stability or just triggers the next great resistance is the multi-billion-dollar question that will define the rest of this decade. The UN is a ghost, the corporations are the new kings, and the Mediterranean coastline will never be the same. If you want to stay ahead of this 2026 Middle Eastern reset and find out who really wins in the $5 billion Gaza takeover, make sure you hit that like button. It helps us keep bringing you these deep dives that the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. We are watching the borders and the boardrooms, so you don't have to. For more mind-blowing breakdowns of the New World Order, subscribe Geo Unseen YouTube channel. We have a lot more secrets to share, and the 2026 landscape is just getting started. Thanks for watching and for being part of the Geo Unseen crew. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace from Geo Unseen.